Okay. Good morning, colleagues, and welcome to our first webinar for the 2025. Our webinar is about your monthly training records. That is the one that we normally do to prepare candidates so that they can be migrate from or upgrade from being candidate to professional. So on this webinar today, our main focus is the requirements. What are the requirements that one needs to fulfill in order to complete successfully their MTR points, that is your 400 value points. So on the panel today, I do have got Abongile, I do have got Ricky and Manuku, as you can see them from the Saga boardroom. They are going to take us through the entire processes of how do you conduct your practical training and what are the requirements. At the end of the session, we are then going to open for questions and answers. Please also make use of the chat and raise any questions so that we can also address those questions. And I'm going now to leave it to my presenters, Abongile, Jatisa, and Ricky Modern, who will be presenting today. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Murphy, and good morning, everyone. I'm just going to be taking you through the presentation from the candidates, various levels of candidacy, and all the way to the monthly training records. So I will be sharing my screen shortly. Just a moment, as my PC is trying to pick up the presentation. Okay, SACAP registration. Candidates, of course, as you would know, SACAP is a South African Council for Architectural Profession, and we are mandated through Act 44 of 2000 to regulate the architectural profession. As part of regulating the architectural profession, we are required to register architectural candidates and professionals through that Act of 44 of 2000. And therefore, since we're in this presentation or this webinar, for the purpose of monthly training records, you are all candidates or apprentices, and therefore you are required to register with SACAP. This means after graduating, obtaining your qualification, or if you are in the architectural firm as an apprentice, you are required to register with SACAP in order for you to fulfill your candidacy period or your apprenticeship period, to ensure that you have the necessary exposure required in the architectural profession. So just to take you through the levels of candidacy in the as agreed by SACAP, or as the designation by SACAP, you have the apprentice. The apprentice is someone who has a minimum experience of 3 years in an architectural practice or doing architectural work. That person is required to register with SACAP, and then the second one, you have a candidate architectural draft person. This is someone with a higher certificate from, we currently have one college that is currently where we have a qualification that is accredited by SACAP, and that college is Inkscape. And therefore, they offer a higher certificate in architectural studies. So if you have that higher certificate, which is NQF level 5, you then qualify to be registered as a candidate architectural draft person. Then you have a candidate architectural technologist with a minimum qualification of a diploma, a BAS, a diploma and the BAS. You will then be registered as a candidate architectural technologist. Then you have a candidate senior architectural technologist with an advanced diploma or honors degree or postgraduate diploma. Then the highest of candidates is candidate architect, which is one with an NQF level 9 qualification, which is master's. So as indicated, first-time registration is candidacy or an apprentice. No one is registered for the first time as a professional. Therefore, once you're registered as an apprentice or as a candidate, you are required to go through the process of practical training. Through this training, you will then be required to submit what we call monthly training records. Many of you are already familiar with this process, as many of you are already in the midst of the process. So for apprentices and candidate architectural draft persons, they are required to submit monthly training records for 36 months. So you're required to submit monthly training records for 36 months. And I think what's also very much important to note there is that when you are registered as a candidate or as an apprentice, you are given a maximum of 4 years under your candidacy for the duration of your candidacy or the apprentice. And within that 4 years, you are then required to submit monthly training records, 36 months for candidate architectural draft persons and apprentices, and 24 months for candidate architectural technologists, all the way to candidate architect. And it's important to note there that monthly training records that you will submit are only recognized from your date of initial registration with SACAP. So what we would normally come across, you find a person, they graduate, then they are employed in an architectural firm, they work there for 2-3 years, then after 2-3 years, they come at SACAP, or they got to hear about SACAP, they come, and then they want to be registered with SACAP, which is all good. And then when we register them, they expect that 2-3 years that they worked for after being graduating, they expect that to be taken into consideration, which is not the case. You can only submit monthly training records from when you got registered with SACAP, and there is no backdating that is allowed. This is how the practical training or the duration of the submission of monthly training records. And this is why it is necessary. It complements academic education by adding knowledge and experience that can only be obtained in a practice. So this is the very importance of this training. It is to ensure that we match your theory obtained at a learning institute with the practical experience that you will be getting, or you are supposed to get at the workplace. then this training, it must take place under the supervision of a person registered with SACAP as a professional in the professional registration category, equal to or above that of the candidate. So you as a candidate, you must be mentored by a SACAP registered mentor. And not only it must be a SACAP registered mentor, but it must be someone, if you are registered as a candidate architect, you cannot be mentored by anyone below the professional architect. So it means if you're a candidate architect, your mentor, your default mentor is your professional architect. If you are a candidate, a senior architectural technologist, you can only be mentored by a professional senior architectural technologist or a professional architect. So it must be at your level or above. So that's what it's meant there by a professional registration category equal to or above that of the candidate. Then that point there, it should place responsibility on the candidate to ensure that he or she is able to apply academic knowledge and make and execute professional decisions. So there is no use for a candidate or an apprentice to be in an architectural firm only to be a runner at an architectural firm, only for them to be submitting plans, or only for them to be making photocopies and printouts and not doing the actual architectural work. So that is what is meant there. It means that it is your responsibility as a candidate and that of the mentor to ensure that you obtain the actual experience that is required, that is going to enable you when you upgrade to become a professional, you will be confident in your expertise as a professional. So it's very much important that, to ensure that you get the necessary experience, you do the actual work in the where you are as a candidate. You design the actual plans. You do as we get onto the fourth point there. These are guidelines for the architectural, for the practical trainings, that the categories. So these categories, when you go in, which I will hand over to Ricky to go in detail on these categories, but these are the categories. You have project and office management, design and design documentation, construction documents and contract administration. These are the necessary categories that, once complied with, by the end of the duration of your period of internship or period of training, you will be sure to have gained the necessary experience that will give you the expertise to be trusted by the members of the public and by fellow colleagues in the architectural profession, that you are competent in your work as an architectural professional. So right now, I will hand over to Ricky, who is going to take us in detail through the minimum value units that are required and the various categories in line with each registration categories of candidates. Hand over to you, Ricky.
Okay, thank you guys for attending this webinar, and good morning everyone. These are the table that shows out the minimum requirements that is required by candidates for the various different categories of value units that must be obtained. For example, to help some of the candidates to understand this table, if you look, for example, a candidate architect and the project and office management is required to have a minimum of 80 units. Under design and design documentation, minimum requirement is 40. Construction document, minimum requirement is 120. Contract administration is minimum of 80. That gives you a total of 320. Total minimum requirement as needed by a candidate to successfully complete this internship period is 400, which implies the remaining 80 can be obtained in any of the above, exceeding any of the above categories. And let's go to another one. For example, a candidate, just take the most common one, a candidate architectural draftsman. In case of candidate architectural draftsman, project and office management, they are required to obtain a minimum of 40 units. Value units, design documentation, minimum of 8 units. Construction document, minimum of 240 units. Contract administration, minimum of 32. Please note these are minimum value units. You can exceed these units because you would do obviously more work on a day-to-day basis than that's required. But these are minimum that's needed by SECAP in order for you to successfully complete your internship period. Let's go on to details under each of these categories so that we can help you understand these categories. So we'll start with project and office management category. Under project and office management category, we have these are the items that needs to be achieved under your multi-training report during your internship period. First one is meeting with clients, which you need to document. Discussion with clients of the brief and the preliminary drawings, the formulation of client requirements, pre-contract project management, the determination of contract conditions, the drafting of correspondence, the coordination of work of consultants, the office and project accounting systems, personnel issues, statutory requirements for running an office, and PI insurance. Please note that these are already on the MTR system. You do not have to memorize these things. They are there on the system. You are then required to document your day-to-day work so that in terms of if you have got, for example, meeting with clients, if you have per month achieved, say, 40 hours of work, or you met clients for 40 hours, you would then convert that into value units in a manner of 8 hours is equal to 1 unit. 4 hours, 0.5 units. 2 hours, 0.25 units. So on the system itself, you do not upload hours of work, you upload value units. Again, just to reiterate, you are required to check the hours of work under a particular category or outcomes, divide that by 8, that will give you your value units. That's what you upload onto the MTR system. Right? The second category is design and design documentation. Under design and design documentation, we have the following outcomes: site investigation and evaluation, meeting with relevant authorities, assessment of the implication of relevant regulations, preparation of schematics and design development drawings, checking design proposal against statutory requirements, preparation of budgets, estimates, cost planning, and feasibility study. Again, you are required to please document all evidence during this process so that you can show proof to your mentor of what you have achieved on these particular categories. Let's go to the next category, which is construction document. Under construction document, we have these 4 outcomes. The first outcome is preparation of working drawings and specification, monitoring the documentation process against time and cost planning, checking of documentation for compliance with statutory requirements, coordination of subcontractor documentation. These are the 4 outcomes for construction documents. The last category is contract administration. This is the last category that you need to achieve, which is compulsory, by the way, all 4 categories. The first outcome is preparing, receiving, and adjudication of documentation for bids or tenders and procedures connected thereof. Site meetings, inspection of work, issuing instruction, notices, certificates to the contractors, client reports, administration of various of monetary allowances, dispute resolution, as-built drawings, final accounts. Some of the stuff here, as you go through these outcomes, you find that some of them are very, very sensitive to the company and might be private and confidential. What we are looking for the company or the mentor is to guide you on how these things are achieved. Right? So if they use examples or scenarios to guide you, that will help you to achieve it. Because some of this stuff, for example, final accounts, is regarded by most companies as private and confidential. But we're looking for the mentor to assist you in how that is created, how that is utilized. So that when at some point you do practice on your own, you have a fair idea of how to generate it in the final account. Thereafter, the next aspect, I'll hand over to Abongile. Continue. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Ricky. Okay, moving right along, we'll cover the structure. How is this training program structured? So the nature of the training is that the training must take place, as we've already covered. It must take place under the supervision of the registered professional who is in good standing with the concept, with SECAP. So it means when you are getting a mentor, you must make sure, or well, that is our responsibility. Of course, we will check on our side when we receive your signed undertaking form by mentor. We will check on our side. Firstly, the two things that we will check for is the category in which the mentor is registered in comparison to your category as a candidate. The second thing we check is the status of the mentor. Are they in good standing with SACA? And then point B, then the training shall be structured to place progressively more responsibility on the candidate to ensure that he or she is capable of applying academic knowledge to practice and of making and executing professional plans. We covered this point as well, the importance of you as a candidate or as an apprentice doing the actual architectural work where you are as an intern or as a candidate or an apprentice. Point C, the experience gained during the training period shall include the elements of practice stipulated in Appendix A, which is exactly what Ricky just covered now, that these are the elements, these are 4 key elements that you as a candidate, you need to ensure that you meet the minimum requirements there. Maybe to also add that there is a 5th category there, which is an educational category. It's not mandatory, but it can also as well help you in terms of getting the overall monthly training units, which is 400. The educational one is if you attend a webinar like this, you can capture units there under the educational one. And they will count towards your overall units of monthly training records. And getting on to the responsibilities of you as a registered candidate. The onus is on the candidate to ensure that his or her training meets the prescribed requirements. Exactly what we just covered, that it is your responsibility as a candidate or an apprentice to ensure that you get the necessary experience. I was having an engagement last week with some of the candidates. I even said, should you be in a position as a candidate that you feel like you're not getting the necessary experience, please feel free to reach out to us. You can ask for our registrations department, and then just inform us that you are not getting the necessary experience. We will also have to engage with the employers or the mentors as well to emphasize the importance of you as candidates and apprentices getting the necessary experience. Point C, the candidate is responsible for completing the monthly training records in the way prescribed by council. It is your responsibility as a candidate. It's not your mentors. It's not anyone's responsibility but yours to ensure that you capture your monthly training records on the monthly training record system. And after, it's actually point D. The submission of monthly training records must be approved by the employer or the mentor before being submitted to the council. So what happens there, maybe let me also consolidate with point E. The submission must reach council in the prescribed manner within 2 weeks or the end of each month. So what happens there from point C all the way to point E? What you need to make sure that as a candidate, you submit your monthly training records in time. So the submission of monthly training records is done by you. And after submitting the monthly training records, you then need to inform your mentor. Your mentor does not get any notification from SACA after you have submitted. It is still your responsibility as well, your duty. After having submitted, you contact your mentor, send them an email, you let them know that, hey, you've submitted your monthly training records for them to review. Okay. What I also want to emphasize, because I realized that upon some engagement we had with some of the candidates last week, some mentors, even some candidates, they are not aware of the monthly training record system. It's a familiar thing with mentors because mentors generally think once they become professionals, they then have nothing to do with the monthly training record system. Whereas they actually still need to go in on the system to log in and approve your monthly training record. So it's important to take note that you have currently you have two different profiles. You have your SACAP main profile, and then you have your monthly training records profile. And so we are in the process of merging the two, but as things stand right now, this is how you log in and submit your monthly training records on the monthly training records system. So you will have different login details for the monthly training record system, which you need to log onto. Okay. Equally with your mentor, it's important to ensure that your mentor also understands that, because all they are familiar with, professionals, all they are familiar with is their main SACAP profile, where they get their professional certificate. And therefore, when you tell them they must sign your monthly training records, they run to that profile. Whereas they also need to understand that the signing of monthly training records, the approval of monthly training records, it happens on the MTR system. So you and your mentor both have two separate profiles currently. You log in on the MTR profile, you submit your monthly training records, you inform your mentor that you've submitted your monthly training records. After informing them, your mentor needs to log in onto that profile. And then somewhere, I think it's top right corner, where it says MTR sign off. And then they will click, immediately when they click on MTR sign off, they will see your monthly training records in months. So the months will appear under your mentor's name. And then the mentor will click on each month that is visible there. And then they are able to review the units in various categories and subcategories. And then once they are satisfied with that, at the bottom of the page, you have an option where it has a drop-down menu where you choose reject, you choose approved or checked, approved. And then the mentor has those responsibilities to once reviewed the monthly training records and the units submitted in that category, then they select an option to say they reject or they approve the monthly training records, and then they save. Immediately after saving and refreshing, that month that was reviewed will disappear under the name of the mentor. Then other months that have not been reviewed will appear, will still remain there. So the mentor needs to do that process until this is in the event that there is a few months that hasn't been signed off. That's it. So the mentor needs to do that until there is nothing under their name. So then point number E there talks of the period in which monthly training records can be submitted and approved. There it's meant that we are in the month of, today is the last day of January. It means you have until the 14th, until the second week of February to ensure that your monthly training records for the month of January are all in order. So by the 14th of Feb, you will then ideally not be able to submit your monthly training records for the period of January. So that's what it's meant there. Moving right along. Role of the employer and or a mentor. Point A, the employers or mentors are morally obliged to assist the candidates to obtain the required breadth of training by providing opportunities for a variety of experiences and by actively imparting knowledge. So this is what we also communicate to mentors. It's also important for you to know that by virtue of a mentor signing the undertaking form, once they sign that undertaking form, they send it to us, we link them as your mentor. They are essentially saying they will give you the necessary experience. They are obliged to ensure that you have the necessary experience, you have the necessary exposure, you have the necessary expertise that will enable you to become an independent professional in the architectural field. So that is what they are tying themselves to. Point B, the employers or mentors should verify and sign off on the monthly training records submitted online by the candidate indicating that he or she is in agreement with the nature and level of work performed and the competence displayed by the candidate. Exactly what we just narrated now, that the submission of the undertaking form, it ties them to an obligation that they will assist you as a candidate or as an apprentice. They will give you and expose you to the necessary areas of your work, guided by the categories that we mentioned above. So this is to ensure that you are competent in those areas, and therefore your mentors and yourself as well, you need to understand that it is your responsibility as much as it is that of your mentor to ensure that you have that necessary exposure and experience in those areas of work. Okay. Qualifying for the professional practice examination. So here is because remember the whole purpose of going through the practical training, it is to ensure that you are prepared eventually. You are prepared firstly for the exam, and secondly, you are prepared for the profession, the architectural profession. You are prepared to go on your own and do noble work, deal with members of the public or related stakeholders in a professional way, following the code of conduct as stipulated or mandated by SACA. So the first point that ensures that the reason you go through the process of practical training, it is to ensure that you are prepared for the exam. So this is an abstract of the professional, of the practical training policy. I will just go through this and just read it so that you have an understanding of what is contained in the policy. So this is an abstract of the introduction of the practical training policy. The practical training is performed by persons registered as candidates/apprentices in order to qualify to write the professional practice examination, PPE. The practical training complements the academic education of the prospective professional by adding knowledge and experience which are fundamental to the profession and can only be obtained in practice. Thus, all registered candidates and apprentices have to complete a period of structured practical training in a professional practice before being allowed to write an exam in order to register as a professional. So it's really a narration of what we've already covered in the previous slides. In terms of section 19(2) of Architectural Profession Act, number 44 of 2000, the council must be satisfied that an applicant who applies for registration as a professional has demonstrated his or her competence as measured against standards determined by the council for the relevant category of registration and has passed any additional examinations that by determined by the council. The last point, therefore, council hereby sets requirements for the completion of internship, the submission and the approval of monthly training records in order to write the PPE. So this emphasis is of that it's important for you as a candidate to complete your practical training by submitting your monthly training records. It's important, it's a standard set by SACA as a regulatory body in the architectural profession. This means, should you be someone who graduates, you get your qualification, you go work, for however years, and then you come, and then you feel like no, you can't do the the monthly training records, the submission of monthly training records, you feel like you somehow have the necessary experience, you have the necessary exposure, and therefore you think you might want to appeal or be exempted from the submission of monthly training records. It does not work like that. You cannot appeal the submission of monthly training records. So you cannot appeal because it is a requirement. It is a mandatory requirement for you to submit. It is an issue of compliance. You know, it's an issue of compliance. You must make sure as a regulatory body that you comply, you meet the necessary set standards by SACA, that you can be entrusted to be dispatched to the architectural profession and be trusted that you will conduct yourself in a professional manner and you are competent in the necessary or the guidelines that you would have submitted your monthly training records through. So this is also a measure for SACA and for record keeping to ensure that should something happen, you know, in the public, in the workplace, should something happen, we know these things happen, structures do collapse. Should something happen, we are able to go on the database and then we can see that, okay, Abongile was indeed registered with SACA or was he not registered with SACA? And did he meet the necessary requirements for the practical training policy that are stipulated in the practical training policy? Did he meet those requirements? Did he write the professional practice examination that ensures that he is competent and is in good standing to then go and serve the members of the public? So by so doing or by so saying, I then have no right or entitlement to say I want to appeal, because if we then provide a loophole for you to appeal the monthly training records, it then defeats the purpose of the organization to set up these standards. We are then saying we want to set the standards to ensure that there is compliance, there is high standards or work standard in the profession to ensure that the profession remains a noble profession. And then we then create holes in compliance measures by putting these measures of appealing. It then defeats that purpose. So it's very much important, even you colleagues that are here have joined us on the meeting, it's important to communicate this with fellow colleagues, that there are no grounds for you to appeal the monthly training records, because that is a standard set by SACA to ensure compliance and high quality in the architectural profession. Therefore, that is point number one of that appealing and the exemption of monthly training records. Therefore, as dictated by the practical training policy, there are no provisions for appealing the internship period and the submission of monthly training records. You cannot come and say you have 10 years of work experience or you've done great projects. That will not be enough for us to compromise the standard that has been set. There is no appeal or exemption for failure to obtain the required 400 value units. Some have been on the database of SACA for some time without submitting monthly training records. Then after years of being on the database, they will then come. Now they realize that compliance is an issue of importance, and we are working together with the municipalities to ensure that there are no professionals that are submitting plans without being registered or with them being candidates. And therefore they come running to SACA to say, hey, I have been registered with SACA for 10 years, I've been deregistered, I came back, deregistered, I came back, but I've been actively on the system for about 7-10 years. And therefore I would like to apply for appealing because I have the necessary experience. So I would like to waiver because I have the necessary experience. That is not applicable. There is no appeal, there is no exemption for failure to obtain the required monthly training records. Not only that 400 value units, but the overall monthly training records, whether you are short by 2 in category 1 or you are short by 1, it's important to ensure that these such standards be adhered to. Okay, exemption. Now, let me just read that there is only one process for exempting candidates from the internship period and the submission of monthly training records. And that exemption process is called special candidate exemption. Now, let me just read through these points and then I will elaborate after. The special candidate exemption involves the identification, documentation, assessment, and recognition of work-based experience in terms of the professional competences in the architectural profession. A portfolio of 5 recent projects, approved drawings, with a variation in complexity and building types aligned to the requisite registration competences that demonstrate extensive relevant experience and competence in line with the professional designation of that particular category. A successful special candidate exemption application exempts the applicants from the practical training period and the submission of monthly training records, and are eligible to write the immediate available professional practice exam before they can apply for an upgrade to a professional status. Okay, so the process of special candidate exemption says that a person must have the grounds to apply for this process. It's also not a process where if you read that and then you feel like, no, I can just apply and then it will be an easy walk. A person must have grounds on what would have been the reason for them to have obtained that experience without being registered with SACA. Okay, because as you see then, we say this person must have a minimum qualification that is obtained in 5 years. And they worked, they were in the architectural space doing architectural work without being registered. Now, the many common scenarios in this regard is a person, actually have a recent case on this, is a person who could not find employment here in the country. This person went and practiced architectural work in Namibia for over a period of 5 years. And then now they got an opportunity to come back and work in the country. And therefore, what we will require from this person is we are going to ask this person to say, okay, firstly, you obtained your qualification in 2015. Why were you not registered? And then we will look at those reasons, okay? You were not registered because you went and practiced architectural work in Namibia, all right. Then let's look at the experience obtained in Namibia. And then that will be tabulated, of course, in the curriculum vitae. Then after that, we then say, okay, because you meet the minimum requirements, which is we understand the condition of you having gained architectural experience without being registered, which is having practice outside of the country. We then say, on that understanding and on that condition, we want you to compile a portfolio with recent 5 projects that you would have worked on. And it's important to take note that these are projects that must have been approved by the municipality or by the authority in that particular country. Therefore, you submit these plans, this portfolio that consists of these projects. What is also important to take note is, I think it's line number 2 there. Line number 2 on point 2, it says, with a variation in complexity and building types aligned to the requisite registration competences for that demonstrate extensive relevant experience and competence in line with the professional designation of that particular category. So what does this say? It says, if I got my qualification, and my qualification was an honors degree in architectural studies, it means if I were to be registered based on that qualification alone, without the experience, it would mean I will be registered as a candidate senior architectural technologist. However, because now I am applying, which is actually the case, I am going to be registered as a candidate senior architectural technologist, And then within the 30 days of having been registered as a candidate senior architectural technologist, I will then be required to apply for the process of special candidate exemption. Now, that assessment there, when it happens, we are going to say, okay, in the event that this person upgrades, they will become a professional senior architectural technologist. Then that informs the assessment process, the assessment guidelines, which we are going to follow as a regulatory body, or as the assessment panel, actually. The assessment panel, which will be assessing your portfolio, will then look and say, okay, we are assessing you at a level of being a professional senior architectural technologist. This means the complexity of projects that are submitted in those 5 recent projects that you would have worked on, they must meet the requirements of that category. So it means if I am applying as a candidate senior architectural technologist, but all my life I have been the project that I'm going to submit are doing renovations, are doing changing of doors, in garage renovations, small scale projects. Then that will disqualify me, because if we are going to say you qualify to be a professional senior architectural technologist, you need to have performed duties or projects, have worked on projects that address the competences in that category. So that is what is meant there by point number 2. And therefore, it then goes to say, or maybe just to complete the whole process of SCE, once you submit this portfolio, it will then be submitted to the assessment panel. The assessment panel is going to invite you. You're going to be invited to come and present the portfolio that you would have submitted. That is when the panel is also going to be getting an opportunity to ask you questions relating to the project that you would have submitted, just to dig out of you that indeed these are the projects that you worked on and you understand the technicalities that are demonstrated on these plans. Point number 2, the successful candidate exempt, 3, the successful SCE application exempts the application from the practical training period and the submission of MTRs, and are eligible to write the immediate available professional practice exam before they can apply for an upgrade to a professional status. Once this assessment has been done by the panel, they are going to make recommendations from their observations and interpretations of the plans that you would have submitted, the projects that you've submitted, and then observations and reflections on your presentations of these projects, in a sense. So it's important to demonstrate competence and understanding of what you would have submitted in those plans. Once the panel compile this feedback, it will then be submitted to the committee with the recommendations. Then the committee will sit and go through your work once again, and they make their own conclusions. And then they take their conclusions in comparison with the recommendations of the panel that would have made an assessment on you. And then they consolidate their observations together with the recommendations, and they give you an outcome. That will be an outcome that either says you are granted the exemption to not submit mandatory training records or go through the practical training. Okay, and then once you get that exemption, you will be given an outcome letter that states that outcome. Once that has happened, you will then be in a position to be immediately eligible to write the immediate available professional practice exam. So say you get the outcome now in January, on the 31st of January, and our next exam is on the 30th of March. It means on the 30th of March, you will be in a position to qualify, to apply and write the exam. And in the next 2-3 months, you will then be in a position to upgrade to a professional status in relation to that category you would have applied on. Okay. All right, that is all from me. Just to recap, you are first time registered as a candidate, as an apprentice. You are required to write a monthly training. You are required to do the practical training, and during which you will be submitting monthly training records. Ensure that you meet the necessary required units on each category and the overall units on each category. After which you will be in a position to write the exam. Once you write the exam as a candidate or an apprentice, you are in a position, write and pass the exam, you are in a position to upgrade. You are required, actually, not even in a position, you are required to upgrade, to apply for an upgrade to become a professional. Okay, thank you so much, colleagues. I am going to hand over to Ricky just to make emphasis on the point of employment, what must happen in the workplace as far as you candidate and the employment environment is concerned. Back to you, Ricky.
Yeah, in terms of employment with the practices, all countries, they have also second are required to firstly have a mentor. They're required to be employed by the practice. They're required to submit an employment contract and obviously complete the mentorship undertaking form. What is critical to understand pertaining to this aspect is that when SECAP issues out the mentorship undertaking form, candidates are not allowed to alter that form in any form, any manner. If alteration is done onto the form in any manner, that form is null and void. So you are to complete the forms accordingly, you are to submit accordingly. That's one. Secondly, is that when you are completing or undergoing your internship period with a particular practice, there are 3 aspects that needs to be noted. The first thing is that you need to be registered with SECAP in order for the work experience obtained during this period to be recognized and valid. Secondly, the mentor that you obtained must also be registered with SECAP. Thirdly, the practice must also be listed with SECAP as well. In order for you to have completed the internship period, and that internship period is valid, and experience obtained and documented are valid. So those are the 3 aspects that needs to be in place. With regards to the unauthorized independent work, candidates, firstly, as per the code of conduct, are not allowed to have any form of business or entity or run any business. They are to be supervised by a registered mentor, and all work must go through the mentor. Any work conducted during a period in which you are not registered with SECAP, for whatever reason, that work is regarded as illegal. In terms of the code of conduct, it says a candidate is not allowed to conduct any architectural work if you are not registered with SECAP. If you conduct any architectural work and you're not registered with SECAP, that's regarded as illegal, and SECAP has a right to take disciplinary measures up with the particular candidate and the particular mentor that mentors you, who would not have advised you correctly, or the company that you are employed with that have not advised you correctly. Right. Further to that, we need to also highlight that work done, like the code of conduct indicates, any architecture work means any architecture work. The most common aspect that we have is that where candidate says, I have done a drawing, I have not submitted it, a registered professional submits the work. The fact that you are not registered, Usaka, and you did a drawing, that's illegal. And that is a serious offense, both for the candidate and secondly for the mentor who have acknowledged that work or associated themselves with a person that is not registered. Again, like I outlined, the candidate must be registered with SECAP, the mentor must be registered with SECAP, and the practice must also be registered with SECAP. In terms of there's a question on the chat that highlights a number of, I think some candidates have not been actively listening, in the sense that they're asking, can the MTR be backdated? I think Abongila made it abundantly clear, candidates are not allowed to backdate. Like he pointed out, we are in the end of January, we got to the 14th of February to upload the MTRs for the period of January. Failing to do so after the 14th, you're not allowed to go back after the 14th of January, 14th of February to upload for the month of January. Going back a month, going back a year, that's backdating and that's not allowed. Candidates are not allowed to backdate. There's another question on the chat says that as a candidate, once you upload your multi-training records on the MTR system, you will notice that it will say a S on your S on your side. S means you have submitted. Once the mentor has received your multi-training records, reviewed it, verified it, happy with it, and signed it off, right? As Abongila said, it will disappear from your side, from the mentor side. On the candidate side, it will display no longer S, because the mentor have checked it, it will show a C, means checked. Once those two things have been done, meaning that once the mentor signed it off and it's disappeared, that means whatever the mentor has done is correct. But in the event that the mentor has signed it off and the mentor noticed that the monthly record is still visible on his side, that means that the mentor has done something incorrect. That's why it has not disappeared or removed. And the most common error that the mentor would have done is when they are reviewing the monthly records for the candidate, they are going to review. At the bottom, it says submit. In short, it says submit, click on save. Do not exit that profile. Allow the system a few minutes to update whatever changes you have made and acknowledge those changes. Bear in mind, the system must update the candidate's profile, the mentor's profile, and the SECAP server. So do not exit immediately, allow the system to update. Thereafter, exit. You'll notice that MTR for that particular month would have disappeared, would be removed from the mentor side. On the candidate side again, it would have changed from an S to a C, showing that the mentor has checked it. Right. For the person that is referring to how do you calculate the units, 8 hours of work or 8 hours of a particular outcomes is equal to 1 value unit. 4 hours of work is 0.5 units. 2 hours of work is 0.25 units. Once you are registered, again, as Abongila outlined, you have 4 years from the time of registration as a candidate to complete and upload your multi-training records. Depending on which category you are going to upload 24 multi-training records or 36 multi-training records. You've got 4 years to do so. We understand that life does happen. You can't finish the entire 24 months in 2 years or 3 years. We give you 4 years to do so because we do understand life does happen and allow you an opportunity to ensure that you meet the minimum requirements. I must be clear, as outlined on the PPE requirements covered by Abongila, there are 3 main requirements in order for you to qualify for the PPE exams. The first requirement is you must have uploaded 24 or 36 valid monthly training records. What do I mean by valid monthly training records? Any monthly training records that is uploaded during the period in which you were deregistered, removed, suspended, those are not valid. Valid monthly records means that you have to be in good standing with SECAP and upload those monthly records for their particular period. Those MTRs are valid. The second requirement is to obtain a minimum of 400 value units. The third requirement is you should have zero credit shortfall. What do I mean by zero credit shortfall? Meaning that when we display the table outlining what minimum requirements for each category, for example, draftsman 40, for project office management, design documentation 80, construction document 240, those are minimum requirements. You should not have less than that. Should have exceeded. And the quickest way for you as a candidate to determine whether you have met the minimum requirements or not is when you upload your monthly records, you go on the top on your menu, you see an option that says reports, you go to reports, click on summary reports, click on summary reports, it shows a summary of whatever you have uploaded. You go to the last period or last month on the extreme right hand side. If you find any minuses on that column there, which says shortfalls. If you got any minuses, meaning that you are short in a particular category. If there is no minuses, meaning that you have met the minimum requirements for each category outlined as per the MTR system. Right? I think I've addressed some of the critical ones. Am I missing anything from the checks? I think the one other aspects that is outlined in terms of category registration. Please note again, Bongile has displayed on the screen the qualification and what category. If a diploma is a CAT, right? But that's because it is a 3-year qualification. It is 360 credits. Now, for whatever reason, if you have taken 10 years to finish a diploma, it doesn't mean you are masters, right? So we work on the level of the qualification and not on the duration that you took to complete that qualification. So when you are submitting for registration, it is critical to submit your qualification, which is a diploma, degree, or whatever it is to be, together with the transcript to outline clearly that what we have done with the period that is required. Okay. Is there anything else I missed out? The exams are written twice per annum. It's written to make life easy for everybody to understand. It's written in May every year and October every year. Dates varies from year to year based on religious holidays and other aspects, but it's May every year and October every year. I think anything else? All candidates, whether it is a draft person, a candidate architecture technologist, senior architecture technologist, or candidate architect, all candidates at this current stage write the same exams. And we are not an educational institution, so the exams are based on legislation and code of conduct and IOW. So it is aspects that is relevant to the profession. Candidates are not allowed to submit plans because you are required to be mentored by a mentor who is a professional. All plans, all submissions, all work done by the candidate must be reviewed and by the mentor. So meaning that if a candidate has drawn a plan, the candidate must then submit to the mentor. Mentor must then sign off that plan with the professionals and then submit to council. Candidates cannot sign off the plans and submit to council. That is not allowed. And second, assist to get access to development sites for training purposes to prepare construction in general. Where do you handle that?
I think what we need to do. Let's give back to Brenda.
Okay.
And then she can open for questions.
Okay, no problem.
Brenda, back to you, Ma'am. Chairperson.
Okay. I think while we wait for Brenda.
Thank you.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Oh, I thought Mr. Mnetz is still here. Mr. Mnetz, are you there?
Yes, I'm here, but let's go through, then I will come.
Yeah. I think one last question there, I think that's on the chat there, Brenda, don't mind me answering it. I think I need to repeat myself. In terms of the requirements for the PPE, there are three requirements. Those are not optional requirements. You have to meet those three requirements in order to write the PPE. Again, 36 monthly training records or 24 monthly training records must upload valid monthly training records. Second one, minimum of 400 units. Thirdly, 0 credit shortfall. It doesn't mean because you have one of them, you qualify. You have to have all of them. You have to meet all those requirements in order to qualify to write the PPE exams, not one. None of those aspects are optional. So sorry about that, Brenda. You can continue.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much, colleagues, for the presentations. I think now is time for us to take questions. Can we start with questions? And then Manuku, can you please assist in terms of when they raise their hands?
Okay, we have we can start with, I think we have Mahamud who has their hand up. We will unmute and allow him to talk so that he can ask his question. Mr. Mahamud. You can ask your question.
Mohammed, you can ask your question, sir.
I think he's having a bit of problem with the mic. I can see he's
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes,
maybe
sir.
Manuku, let's go to another question.
Okay, so we have, I think it's Yada Kekana.
either.
Yada Kekana.
Are they unmute from our side, Manuku?
Yeah, they are.
Good morning. I don't have a question. Thank you. I'm sorry. My hand was raised by mistake.
Okay, no problem, ma'am.
We can go over to Lifira Tabang. Lifira Tabang, your hand is up. You have been unmuted.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, Taban.
Yes, we can, sir.
Good, good. How are you?
We're good and you, sir.
Good, thank you, sir.
Okay, perfect. I just have one question. Just wanted to know, can a mentor or an employer be eligible to sign off the MTR later after the candidate has submitted? Let's say, for instance, I'm submitting my MTR on 2020, and then later on, maybe 8 months down the line, can my mentor be able to sign off what I've submitted before as a candidate? I don't know if my question is clear.
Okay. The answer is yes, right? But it is advisable for candidates to ensure that the mentor sign up on a monthly basis for a number of reasons. One of the reasons is that it ensures that that is processed with the time frame that is allowed. Secondly, is that relationship between the mentor and the mentee does change over time, and when it's not done on a monthly basis, it's then utilized as a tool rather than a what's the correct word? A learning process, because the mentor is obliged, as Abdullah outlined in his presentation, to assist the candidate and obtain the required practical training. But in some cases, because this is left over a certain time and the relationship does change, is then used as a tool to discipline the mentee. So it is advisable for the mentee, which is a candidate, to get the mentor to sign on a monthly basis, as outlined for the candidate as well, so that it does not jeopardize the candidate in the long run.
Okay, understood.
Next, we have Samiha Aziz. Samiha, you have been unmuted.
Hello.
Hi, Samiha.
I would just like to ask how does overtime work in terms of the hours?
Okay, overtime is obviously something that you have an agreement with your mentor. I must make it clear, and which we have seen on numerous occasions, right? I'm not sure how does candidates receive 50 hours in a day, right? Or in some cases 1,000 hours in a month, which is not possible, right? So your overtime is a arrangement that you have with your company. As long as the formula is utilized as stipulated, 8 hours of work is 1 unit and 4 hours work is 0.5. We have no objection because we did not dictate whether you work overtime or not. Long as work is documented, the overtime is documented, work is carried out during the overtime period is documented, and that is presented to your mentor, and mentor acknowledges that and verifies that, and that's what you upload onto the MTR system. We would accept that, but please bear in mind that there's only 24 hours in a day.
So just to add on
Yes,
what Ricky said,
thank you.
Samiha. Yeah, just to add on that, so this means on our side, we will not know, of course, if it's an overtime or what, but it's an agreement you have with your firm. So this means if you work your 8 hours and then your overtime was 2 hours, using the very same formula of 8 hours is 1 unit, you can break it down. So it means if it's going to be 4 hours, it's going to be 0.25. So you use that formula, 0.5, you use that formula all the way to count out the 2 hours that was over by, and then you capture those units there.
I think, sorry, just to add on to what Abungi is saying. For example, if you are a diligent employee and you work 8 hours, don't take lunch, nothing, right? And you do an additional 4 hours of overtime, which gives you 12 hours of work. You take the 12 hours of work, divide that by 8, that's a unit you will upload. So we would not have any recourse to that because you would have to, or rather you will be required to submit evidence to your mentor will need to verify that. But the general formula is whatever hours you worked, divide that by 8, and that's the units you upload. The reason why I mentioned about the 24 hours a day, because you only have 24 hours in a day, not 36 like some candidates calculations.
Thank you.
Next up, we've got Tsepo. Tsepo, you have been unmuted.
Good day. How are you?
We're good on you, sir.
Well, thank you, Tsepo.
Good, thanks. Yes, mine is it's a quick one, and I'm sorry, guys, if I might have missed it. Just for the sake of maybe repeating yourself. I was asking with regards to the registration between the candidate architectural draftsman and the apprenticeship. Is the training structured the same duration, and even the content? So everything is similar. So that's what I wanted to know, so that I can be able to have a clear understanding between the two. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tsepo. Yes, the short answer, yes. The period for candidate architectural draft persons and apprentices is structured the same required units, same required units. This is overall period per category. So it is structured the same, so much that when you upgrade as an apprentice and as a candidate architectural draft person, you both go to a professional architectural draft person. So yes, sir.
All right. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Next up, we've got Amin.
Hi, good
Amin.
morning, everybody. Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear
We can
you.
hear you, Amin.
We can hear you.
Okay, I've got a few questions if you don't mind. One question is the 400 units. Is that for the duration of your 2 years or the 4 years, however you're going to work, or is that per month?
The answer to that is it's a duration for the entire internship period, whether it is 24 months or 36 months, it's a duration of the internship period.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you. Thank you for clearing that up. And then just in terms of the monthly training records, do you have an example somewhere, a YouTube example or something like that that we can refer to?
In terms of completing or capturing your MTRs onto the MTR system.
Yes, how do you complete the MTR? Do you have an example somewhere that we can have a look at?
I recall last year we did something of that nature. There was a YouTube video, a webinar that we did. So it should be on the second YouTube channel. But
Okay.
I think
but what you can do, I mean, maybe after this meeting, you definitely can give us a call and then we'll be able to guide you around it on how to do it. Firstly, I see there is also a question on the chat box. The link to log in onto the monthly training record system is mtrlogbook.sakapsa.com. So that is the link. So you go onto that link, and then we, back to you, we will assist in that regard to say if maybe you can't find these guidelines. We have done this before. It should be somewhere on our social media platforms, but to make things easier for you, after this, you can give us a call and then we'll be able to guide you around the submission of MTRs.
I think also while Amir is on the line, and I think in the interest of everybody else. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I also wanted to amplify because there might be a number of them who might also need assistance on how to enter MTR logbook. So what we are going to do is we are going to run an animation that we can put on our library. So you can check next week. Let's say next week Friday, you can check on your profile on the library. You will find that link or that video. We're gonna just do a small version of animation or a work through how to, so that everyone is aware and they would know where to find it in case you might not be able to call us, but you will then find it in the library. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I
have one last question, if you don't mind.
I mean, just 1 second before you go to the next question. I just want to amplify over what you said, because what you said is critical in two aspects. Is that when candidates capture the value units onto the MTR system, and in most cases they would indicate that the system is not saving, or it's deleting, because it's not an Excel spreadsheet. So it's not 2,5 or 2,3 or whatever. It's 2.5, 2 dot whatever case may be. That's how you enter it. So you must be cautious on how you enter the information, because if you enter 2,5 throughout the information, you'll find that when you click on save, it's going to remove everything. It's going to delete everything. So it's going to be blank again. Or in some cases, you would not save. And if you enter 2.5, because you're leaving a space there, it's treated as a numeric value, because it's 0. And it again will not recognize it and will not save it. So you will just be wary of it. So in terms of what Mr. Monensi was saying, please look out for the video so you get a clear indication of how to upload your information correctly, so you do not have this nitty-gritty pitfall challenges that other candidates have experienced in the past. You can ask your next question. Sorry about that.
Okay, thank you. And one last thing. So if the company that you work for does international work, obviously to do contract administration overseas is not an option. And that is required. how do you go, how do you deal with that then, or how does one deal with that?
You would need to obviously speak to your mentor and the company to see how best you can shadow someone who's doing it within the organization locally so that you can get exposure. But you would have to get exposure because these are outcomes that is critical in order for you to properly function within the profession. If you do not get exposure to the outlines or outcomes that's achieved on the MTR system, you will find yourself, when you become a professional, being shortchanged in how to properly function as a professional. And that will jeopardize you because most professionals tend to want to practice on their own and run their own businesses. And if you're missing elements of the business, you're obviously jeopardizing your own business. So it is in your interest to ensure that your mentor and your company give you as much exposure or link you up with individuals that are part of that process so that you get that experience.
Okay, thank you.
Up next, we've got Janice. Janice, you have been unmuted.
Okay. I would like to know the exam dates for this year because I know it's in May and October, but have you confirmed exact dates yet?
The dates, thank you for asking. Dates were just confirmed recently. So the May's dates for this year is 13th and 14th of May. And that's when the exams will be. Everything has been submitted for approval. It should be uploaded onto the SACEP website. And the manner in which you should be able to view the information pertaining to the PPE, you go onto the SACEP website, you go to regulations, you go to education. Under education, you see an option that says professional practice exams. Once you go to that option, you will find a whole list of documents that appear. You look for the document pertaining to the current exams, current year, meaning the first document that you should be interested in, which is called the general information document. In this case here, the May 2024, May 2025 PPE, and that will give you a guideline of the relevant dates for the May PPE in terms of when application open, when application closes, when is paper 1, when is paper 2, when marks will be released, when the remark dates will be open and so forth, the dates are there. Then it also further explains to you pertaining to how to apply, right, onto the system. Then it also goes on to explain to you on what you should be reviewing in preparation for the exams, the guides that you should be obtaining in preparation for the exams, sections you should be reviewing in preparation for the exams. Lastly, it also outlines the requirements that is required in terms of the online system that we utilize, so that you have a full picture and obviously a cost factor in your mind of what you are getting yourself in, rather than just applying for something and say, okay, the book's going to cost me so much, this is going to cost me so much, I don't have money. So we give you a full picture in that general information guideline prior to actually applying for the PPE, so that you can budget accordingly and make an appropriate calculated decision based on your budget.
Okay, and then sorry, so I registered in 2023 and then I moved to a new firm last year. Will my 2023 hours still count so that I'm eligible
All
to run this year?
all MTRs uploaded on the MTR system for the life of the candidate is valid,
Okay.
irrespective whether you change companies 4, 5, 10 times, provided that you always update your mentor on the with SACEP. And please note that if you change companies and you have now in your mind or in the company have been assigned a new mentor, it is your onus, the candidate's onus, to ensure that you complete a new mentorship undertaking form, right?
Yes.
If that is not done, then you're going to find that the new mentor will not have access to your monitoring records to sign off, because it will still appear on the previous mentor's profile. So it is critical, and it's onus upon the candidate to ensure that. Again, I go back to what Abdul said. Onus upon the candidate to ensure that the monitoring records are uploaded. It's onus upon the candidate to ensure that mentor signs off. It's onus upon the candidate to ensure that everything is done properly. The mentor has signed the mentorship undertaking form to provide you with the necessary practical experience, provide you with the necessary guidance, provide you with the necessary resources It is your onus to ensure that it is done accordingly.
Okay, because so I got that registration confirmation email for 2023, but then when I looked at my hours, you know, that report that you have of the summary, it said that I'm only registered from when I moved to the new mentor. So I just wanted to double check that it's going to take all the hours. Okay.
It will definitely take all, no MTRs. The most common cases we have where people register, they become initially they will register as draftsperson. Thereafter, at some point in the career, they will get the masters, which means they now upgrade to a candidate architect. All MTRs uploaded on the MTR system remains and will be valid, provided that they are within the prescribed period of 4 years. Again, the importance of the 4-year period. When you register, you're given 4 years to upload your monthly records, 36 or 24, the 400 valid units, the 0 credit shortfall. You're also given 4 years to upgrade from a candidate to write the PP exams, upgrade from a candidate to a professional. The consequences of not doing that within the 4-year period implies that what SACAP is obliged to do is firstly deregister you. You're required to re-register if you do not complete that within a 4-year period, and all MTRs uploaded to date is forfeited. You redo, you restart your internship period. So it's critical. I'll go back to the letter of confirmation that was given to you. On the letter of confirmation that was given to you at the time that you registered, there are 4 critical things there. Firstly, is your SACAP registration number. Secondly, they outline 4 documents that you are required to download to review, which is the code of conduct, the IDOW, the MTR policy, and the PPE policy. Please, in the interest of the candidate to move forward, please download and read those documents. The third thing is the number of monthly training records you have to upload, either 36 or 24 is stipulated there. The last thing is outlines you got 4 years to do so. So please read that confirmation letter that's given, analyze the 4 aspects that I mentioned now, because it is in your interest to understand those 4 elements. Otherwise, you're going to find yourself short, not meeting the requirements, and obviously after the 4 years, SACAP, as per the board notice, is required to deregister you. You're required to re-register and redo your internship period again and resubmit. So all MTR uploaded there falls away and is forfeited.
Okay, thank you.
Delise, sorry. Delise, I just checked your profile right now. I see the issue there was that the date on the MTR profile was updated, because it means when you got suspended or whatever happened, when the profile was updated, it was updated and the date was put there. It was the date on which the profile was updated. Yes. However, that if you go in the profile and look at your monthly training records, you do have your monthly training records from 2023 that have been updated. So the issue has just been the date, but I've since corrected that. So your date on the MTRs and the date on your SACAP profile, they do align.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, so up next we'll have Lyndon, Ivan, and Kumo in that order. Lyndon.
Hello, can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, Lyndon.
Hi, thank you for the opportunity. I actually just wanted to ask, how do you change your mentor? Because in my instance, my mentor has just been transferred to a different province, and can also SACAP assist with locating a new mentor. Thank you.
Okay. In order to change mentor, you will need to complete a new mentorship undertaking form. When you say assist with a new mentor, I assume you are working for someone. I assume there is someone that within the company can act as your mentor. If that's the case, then obviously that person can be your mentor. All you need to do is complete a mentorship undertaking form, and that's submitted to SACAP, and then that mentor detail can be updated onto your profile.
Hi, can I say something? I'm actually working in the South African Air Force. So we only had like one in Gauteng, we only had like one registered professional. So now he's been transferred to Eastern Cape. So that's the problem I'm having at the moment.
Okay, I think, Lyndon, my email address would be, I think we'll flag you later. You can send me an email and then we can address it, because I think you have the similar scenario as the SANDF. So I'll advise you accordingly, and send me an email and I can advise you accordingly what to do.
Thank you, Mr. Woodley.
Kumo, you may speak.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Kumu.
Yes, good day. Thank you for the opportunity again. My name is Kumo Mantaba. I graduated from the Tshwane University of Technology and then during after graduating, I was looking for work. And then on my CV, I did write candidate architectural technologist, which I was not allowed to do. I didn't know at the time. And yes, it was my own negligence, I could say yes. But I am registered at the moment, and I have been registered since 2022, since that day, because it was a big thing. It was a big bad thing. Police were involved. Those kind of things were involved. I am registered at the moment, yes, thank goodness. But my challenge is that when you search my name, the thing that the first thing that appears is the fraud list. Now, I'm not saying that I'm looking for customers and things like that, but it has put a bad reputation on my name, and I'm just asking, humbly asking that, yes, this was put out to the public. But then what happens to us, because now I am registered, guys. Now my name's still up, it's still up there. Nothing has been done in the past 2 years. I did speak to it's been if it's
I bang,
been
hello, Kumo.
yes, sir.
I hear you. So what I
Yes,
want
sir.
you to do is you said your issue has been on the public
Fraud
domain
alert.
and you are now registered. So what I want you to do is I want you to write an email to legal@sakafsa.com. Then we will then facilitate to remove that your name from the government gazette as from this social media. So in short, once you were practicing not registered, but now you are registered, and we will then work out to remove that. So just write an email to legal@sakapsa.com. Then we will take it from there. Thank you, because it's quite personal. We cannot continue
Yes,
discussing
sir.
it on the public
Yes, yes,
forum like this. So
yes.
I think that's the best way we can deal with that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Understood.
Thank you.
Up next got Ivan, then Refenche. Ivan, you've been unmuted. Ivan Jacobs. You have been unmuted. Ivan?
Thank you, Mike, so much.
Okay, in the meantime, Refenche, you can speak. Refenche Matavani. You have been unmuted.
All right, thank you so much. Good morning. Thank you once again, everyone, for the presentation. I have been uploading my MTRs for the past, I could say like what, 18, 19 months. However, when I started out working working in the Department of Public Works in Limpopo in April. So I did not know how to quantify the hours that I did. So what I did was I put X's. I thought you could just tick that, okay, this week I did this week I did. So I put X's, and then at the bottom of every submission where the notes bar is on the MTRs, I just put a narration because I thought that would be important. I put a narration to say week 1 I did this, week 2 I did this, week 3 I did this, but I didn't put the numbers there. We were supposed to put either 1 for a full day's work or 0.5 for half day's work. So at the time, the supervisor I had, he also didn't know, so he checked it. I submitted, he checked, so it's written as C, but the entry is 000 for 4 months. So I don't know if there's a way that I could go back and do the entry so that at least it shows my score on that particular month, or is it that I must just add 4 additional months to my candidacy as a result of that mistake that I did there? I don't know if the question is clear.
Yeah, on that one, let me just come through them. So we cannot go back. So you said it's a year or so ago, and it's 4 months that are not. What you can do is you then write an email to Ricky. You then go through and see your notes and whatever you have been writing there. Then we can try to do it manually to accommodate that where there is zero. That is, if there is a comment, there is a zero, whatever, we can work on that. But it's a case by case. By right, we are not allowed to do manual entering there because it is open to fraud and misuse. You see,
Yes.
so it's a case by case. So what we just need to do is write an email to Ricky, then we will take it from there and do our verification and see at the back end, and that will see whether you actually put something on those entries, on those 4-month entries. Yeah.
Oh, and just to add what Monesi was saying, I must also alert that particular candidate that it'd be very tempting for the candidate to go back onto the MTR system. It'd be very tempting for the candidate to go and remove all those X's and those comments and try to upload the correct information. The system will not save it. You can try, it will not save anything. So my suggestion is do what Mr. Monesi requested. Otherwise, you're going to be trying something that will jeopardize your entry. So as Mr. Monesi outlined, please do that. And then we will evaluate the case and then we'll take it from there. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, thank you so much. I did try to go back and I saw that I couldn't see the entries. It was just blank. So that's when I knew that I'm in trouble. But I just figured I'll do 4 extra months of the candidacy and then so that it can be counted as 24 months. But thank you so much for that, Mr. Ricky. And I didn't get the other surname. Thank you so much. I'll send an email. All right.
Ivan, you could go ahead.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we
Yes,
can
we
hear
can
you.
hear you.
Yeah, thank you. I've just got a technical question. My mentor, when he goes onto, he logs into his profile. The MTRs that I submitted doesn't appear on his profile. I know there has been problems with the website in the past and so on, but he is still experiencing difficulty it doesn't appear on his profile when he logs into his profile.
Again, I'm going to highlight 2 things. The first thing we highlighted is that the MTR are not available on your second profile. Every candidate's got 2 profiles, and if you're meant to got 2 profiles. One profile is your second profile, which is your RP login. The second one is the MTR profile. You have 2 separate profiles with separate login details. If you are saying that your mentor is unable to see your MTR, I would assume that your mentor is looking at his second profile. That's got a heading that says MTR, and when you click on there, it says coming soon. And if he's looking for your MTR under that section, it will not be there. He needs to go log into the MTR system, which is mtrlogbook.secapsa.com, and you will click on there and go to MTR sign off on the top. Thereafter, you see a whole lot of mentors, candidates details playing under the mentor section. November, name, candidate's name. January, candidate's name. February, candidate's name. March, candidate's name, and so forth. And you'll be able to find it. I would assume it's just looking at the wrong place. Again, if you're still having a problem with your mentor, or your mentor is still having a problem, you're welcome to send me an email. I can guide him on where to find it.
Okay, will he use the same login details as his regular
No,
profile?
no, it's got two separate login details. So at the time when you applied to be registered as SecCap created a SecCap profile for you. SecCap created a MTR profile for you. When you completed the undertaking form, immediately thereafter, SecCap assigned that mentor to you. The SecCap then created a MTR profile for your mentor and issued a login details at the same time. So if you go back to your data confirmation or the confirmation letter, you will see that you received your own login details. At the same time, during around the same time frame, your mentor will receive his login details, his own login details for the MTR system during that same time frame.
Okay, will he be able to get another copy of that? Because I think he doesn't have that.
No, it's not a massive problem, Ivan. Like I said, if you can send me an email, you can then establish whether he's looking at the right place or not. That's one. And if you're saying he doesn't know his login details, again, it's not a massive problem. We can reset everything. I just need to understand what has transpired and advise you accordingly. Right now, we are just assuming, and that's not good.
Okay, can he send a mail to you, Ricky?
Yes, it's ricky.woodley@secapsa.com.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, we've got Ilham, Megan, and Diane in that order.
Good day, everyone. I just have a query with the registration that I did recently, where I only realized after I did my payment that
Sorry, Megan. Sorry, Megan.
Sorry,
We are struggling to hear you. If you may just kindly raise your voice a little bit.
Okay, can you hear me now?
It sounds like you blocked the mic. Sounds like you from a hole. Okay, please go ahead. We'll try and listen.
I don't know if you can hear me now.
That's much better. Thank you.
Okay, my question is regarding my registration that I did recently, where I only realized after making my payment that I had selected a wrong document. So I don't know if there's a way to rectify that, or do I just wait for the period that you guys check it and then I appeal, or how does that work?
Okay, I need to understand. So you say you applied for registration.
Sorry, please
And you
repeat.
selected. I just need to understand your question. You say you applied for registrations and you selected incorrect documents.
Yes.
So you submitted incorrect documents with your registration application.
Yes.
Is the incorrect document your qualification? What is
No,
incorrect
it's
about? Yeah.
the incorrect document is my ID.
Okay. Okay. Have you received any feedback from that application? When did you make it?
It was yesterday, and I haven't received any email regarding it.
Okay. All right. Maybe let me just ask you to send me an email. Just say that so that I will look out for your application and just narrate there what is wrong with regards to your ID, and then we'll be able to take it from there. Okay. Can I give you my email address?
Can I kindly please have your email? Okay.
Hello?
Can I kindly have it, please?
Yes. Okay.
I
So
am
it's my name.
waiting for
Yes. Yes, Brenda.
I was saying she's requesting your email.
Yeah. Sure. So my email address is abongile, that's my name, .jatisa@sakapsa.com. abongile.jatisa@sakapsa.com. So ABONGILE.JACISA@sakapsa.com.
Okay, got it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Miguel.
Bye.
Up next, we've got Tian and Zwelakhe. In that order, you have been unmuted. Please go ahead with your questions. Question. Tian and Zwelakhe.
Good day, everyone. Hello.
Hello.
Good day. Hey, how are you guys?
Zwelakhe, please wait. Tian is before you. Thank you.
Good day. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Tian.
Okay. I just have an inquiry. I received my letter of confirmation for the SACAP registration, but I'm struggling to log into the MTR system. I don't know if there's any information on the confirmation letter that gives me the login details for the MTR or anything like that. Could you please assist me?
In terms of the login details, if you are already registered, you already got a confirmation letter, which means you have received your confirmation, your login details for the MTR system. So please look at your emails, right? You should have received it by now. The second problem you're going to have is obviously understand how to upload and what you should upload. Like I mentioned, there are 4 elements on the confirmation letter. The second element talks about please, candidates are required to download 4 documents, which is your code of conduct, your IDW, your PPE policy, and your MTR policy. So download the MTR policy, and that should be able to guide you on what to do and how to upload your MTRs. Because if you receive the confirmation letter, you would have already received your login details. So just check it. If you haven't, just respond to the person that sent you the confirmation letter, highlighting to please send you your MTR login details, and they'll gladly reset or send it to you again.
Okay, thank you very much. I think that was the problem. I haven't received the MTR login.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Zwelakhe, please go ahead. Zwelakhe.
Hi, Zwelakhe. You are muted, Zwelakhe.
How are you guys?
Good, thank you,
Hello?
Baba. How are you?
I'm good. Good. I believe all you are well. I wanted to ask, based on the minimum value unit requirement, I see here it says under the category of experience, where it says project and ethics management, because I'm a registered candidate architect. I see there it says 40. So I want to know, this 40 equals the sum of the complete 3 years or a month or months.
Okay, so the required units per category is for the overall period of your internship. So if it says office administration and then it requires 40, so it means over the period of that 24 months, you must have 40 units in that category.
Okay. And the last question is, okay, so if now you are a registered candidate under recognition filing, let's say now in the company where you are working and you are exposed in like growing malls or bigger projects.
So sorry, sir. I'm not sure what's happening. If is it the line or but we are losing most of what you are saying. We're just getting bits and pieces. If you may just kindly move a bit.
Oh, can you hear me now clearly?
Yes, thank you, sir.
Okay, I was saying, under if you are a registered candidate, yeah, under recognition filing. So if in the company you're working on, you are exposed to big projects like drawing office parks or more than 1,000 square meter houses, what do you do with such person when he submits this kind of big projects? What's the suggestion of that? Because I'm currently working under a company as a recognition filing, but I'm exposed in doing like bigger projects. So if I submit at the end of 3 years, will I be ranked as still a candidate for draftsman, or will I be recognized to be maybe a senior architectural technologist?
Okay, I'm really, I'm getting the sense of your question, but I'm not sure, as I was saying, I think there is a line issue, but I'm hearing you talking about the scope of work, and you are currently registered as a candidate, right?
Yes, yes.
So if you are registered as a candidate, architectural draft person.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, so I will just narrate the process, and you will let me know if you are answered in narrating that, because I didn't really hear your question properly. So what happens as you are registered as a candidate architectural draftsperson, it means you are working under a professional architectural draftsperson or N1 higher, which is allowable. So now, what happens is you are going to submit, of course, your monthly training records, what is required as per your categories. Now, this is, it does not matter how big is the project you are working on. What determines which category you are going to upgrade to is your category in which you are registered. So you may be registered, you may be registered as a candidate architectural draft person, and you are working with a mentor that exposes you to scope of work that is beyond your category. The fact of the matter is that you are going to write the exam, and when you upgrade, you are going to be a professional architectural draft person. And I said, so you won't look at the scope of your work. We will look if did you meet the guidelines in terms of the categories, the minimum required units per category and overall units at the end of your 36 months.
I think also just to add what Apungile is saying is that Ivan, also document all what you've done and create a portfolio of everything that you've done. As much as you will be upgraded to a professional architecture draftsman, you are required to then practice as a professional architecture draftsman for a minimum of 3 years, right? Thereafter, a process called the RPR process is applicable to you. At that point, RPR means recognition of prior learning. So it's an opportunity right now to document whatever you're doing, even though it's way above your scope, right? Document it, file it, create a portfolio. At some point during your journey, you can utilize that based on the categories that you would be on and what you can move to. So document it, file it, and ensure that you have all the necessary documentation in place is what we call a POE. Create a POE and have it there. In the event that you do go through a professional architecture draftsman, complete 3 years at that, then you can then apply for an RPR process, which then you can utilize that evidence.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you, Zurake.
Thanks.
Up next, we've got Malete and Liam. Malete, Muloto, and Liam. You have been unmuted. Liam?
Good day. Am I audible?
Yes, Liam.
You are.
You are, sir.
Thank you so much for the presentation and for your time. I would just like to know if one has already registered as a candidate architectural technologist, and in the meantime, during your internship period, you have finished your advanced diploma. how does one go about changing your profile or updating your profile from candidate architectural technologist to candidate senior architectural technologist?
Okay, Liam. So thank you, Liam, for the question. So when you go through your candidacy period and then you obtain a higher qualification, you have two options. First option is that you can apply for an upgrade. You understand? We can apply for an upgrade. This is, of course, if it's very much important for your career, because we find that some have better career opportunities in their work environment if they upgrade to a higher category. So you may upgrade. That is one option. Second option is you can wait for until you finish your candidacy period. I said you wait until you finish your candidacy period, and then once you finish submitting your market training records in your current category, you then write the exam, and then you upgrade to a professional status. When you apply for an upgrade, you will then submit your current highest qualification. It means if you are registered as a candidate architectural technologist, and then you have an advanced diploma or an honors degree, then you are then going to move. Ordinarily, you would have been upgraded to become a professional architectural technologist, but because you would have had that higher qualification, you can then move from CAT to professional senior architectural technologist. So that is your second option that you have. Because what happens if for an example now, you have the higher qualification, then you upgrade it to a higher candidacy category. It means you will pay upgrade twice. You will go through the upgrade process twice, which is now due to the higher qualification. And then the second one from to a professional status. So those are your two options that you can explore.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Liam.
I'm not sure if Malit is here. Malit?
Hello, how are you? Hello.
Thank you. How are you?
Hi,
Hi,
Malit.
I'm
We can hear
okay.
you.
Yes, I would just want to ask something for my friend, actually.
Yes, sir, go ahead.
He's been practicing. Sorry, yes, he's been practicing like since 1995, if I'm not mistaken, but he does not have any academic qualification. So I'm not sure how he can be able to register as a candidate. So I was just wanted to know if he can be able to register or he need to obtain the academic qualification before he can register.
Hi, Melissa. Okay, thank you for the question. Yes, if you remember back in my presentation, we indicated that there is a category which we refer to as an apprentice. This is someone with a minimum experience of 3 years. This person can apply there and be registered as an apprentice, submit monthly training records for 36 months, write the exam, and then become a professional architectural draft person.
Okay, all right. No, thank you very much for that. I understand. Yes.
Okay, I think Manuku, that was the last question. And the
Yes,
time
it
now
was.
is, there's another one. It was
No.
okay.
That was the last
So
question.
okay, the time now is 5:12. We were supposed to close at 12 o'clock. I think we'll go ahead and close the webinar. Before that, thank you all for attending today's webinar, and a special thank you to our presenters for sharing their valuable insights on the MTR. I appreciate your time and effort to inputting together for today's session. Please note that the presentation
Okay, it seems that Brenda is cutting off. I will just take over from Brenda. The presentation will be made available. We will upload the presentation on our library. If you go to your profile, go to library, you will find under education, you will find the presentation there. Thank you, but I also want to thank you very much. If you do have got any information regarding your your MTR, please write to us. You send your information to, I mean, your queries to info@sakapsa.com. Then we will definitely address that all your questions. But in a nutshell, I would like to thank you very much, and this we then therefore adjourn this webinar. Thank you. The webinar is adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.